A pleasant day to everyone to Dinwaj. I'm Irish Isabel D. Reyes and my topic is all about the Odes of Shau and the South. Before I started with the literary approaches of the poem, I will just explain a little bit background of the Shau and the South. So first we have the Shau. It was the feudal state west of the Shau of last book. And adjoining it both together were the originally one district, which is known as the Chao, while the south it refers to the lands of the south of Chao. So by Chao is here meant to the royal state or crown lands as distinguished from the feudal state around. It was the district in which the ancient Chao family had their seat from the BC 1325 to King Wan's time, which is the 1231 to 1135. It lay between the rivers Han and Wai, so the latter and tributary of the Ho, or the Yellow River. With the south, we are to understand the states or the country south of this Chao. Proceed to the wedding journey of a princess. This is a collection of poems written by various anonymous authors over several centuries, which is called Shiking, or it was translated as the classic poetry and the book of Odes. Let's proceed to the literary approaches. So I have three literary approaches, which are the formalist approach, the traditional approach, and the impressionistic approach. In this slide, if you can see, there is a highlighted words, which are the symbols. Next is we have these slides, which are the highlighted lines in this poem. The first approach that we have is the formalist approach. In these slides, if you can see the elements and the poetic devices. So in terms of the wedding journey of a princess literary devices, the use of enjambment is utilized as the lines are continued from one line of a verse to another line, so followed by the imagery as the poem describes the things in poem with connections to its appearance. Like for the example is the bride is a young lady and the magpie with its nest. Next is we have the mood of the poem. I think it is the possessive and departure of someone's feelings. Next is the tone. The tone is gullible and evasive tone. Next is we have the pattern. The pattern that used here is the ABAB pattern. And the poem is a blank verse. That is utilized. If you can see in these slides, there is so much symbols present. In the previous slides, if you can see in the poem, there's a yellow highlighted words, and that is the symbols. First is the magpie. It represents the intelligence and wit. So the magpie, this is black and white colored birds, show an extraordinarily high IQ and are equally resourceful as well. However, due to their crude nature, they're also known to symbolize deceit, opportunism, and illusions. And the magpie, for me, it represents the men. Next is we have the dove. The dove symbolizes as love, peace, and romance. And for me, it represents the woman. Next is we have the nest. It symbolizes home and love. Next is, and last is we have the bride. It symbolizes as good luck, fertility, and loyalty. In these slides, these are the figurative language that I saw in the poem. In terms of figurative language that are utilized in the poem, is we have the paradox. The statements for me that seems impossible but true. So for me in the poem, the paradox is the countless cars escort her. Next, we have the metonymy. So the metonymy, this is the word used to describe things. For me, in the poem that I saw, words are the nest. So nest, it will be refers to home, but it used to replace the words such as for me it's a property or an estate. Next is we have the innuendo. For me, it's a subtle hint or something regulatory or something it remarks suggests something unpleasant. So for me, in the poem that I saw is the innuendo that I saw in the poem is that the young bride departs with chariot master thickly. So it only means that once the bride started to change her path, problems and difficulties might be follow or arise. Next is the hyperbole. The exaggerated line that I saw is the statement that I saw is the countless cars escort again. If you can see in the side of the line of the countless cars escort her, there's an cross. For me, the Cockney rhyme or the English slangs must be pardoned, or the words are literal rendering. The second approach that I have is the impressionistic approach. My impression with this poem. My beliefs are not new, but the impression that I have is negative. My impression with this is not all arranged marriage are successful, and not all women or men want such an arrangement, because it's like someone's freedom to choose has been taken away. Like you don't have any choice, but you need to agree, because there is maybe a consequence with the families or with you. Most of this is done by the business parents who will arrange the marriage of their children to the children of their fellow businessmen. And also not just the businessmen but also the politicians. The approach that we have is the traditional approach, the moral philosophical. So in this slide, if you can see, the tradition of Chinese before the wedding, if you can see in the poem that the magpie has a nest, it portrays me that when it comes to Chinese tradition, when a man owns a house, a woman also owns it. So they know that as the guodali before the wedding ceremony, the groom will present a betrothal gifts. So in this poem, the betrothal gifts that I saw is the nest or the house of the man. Also, when it comes to betrothal gifts, there's gold, jewelries, wine, and etc. This symbolizing the prosperity and good fortune as a formal proposal to the bride's parents. So for me, when I saw this and researched this, for me that I saw is for them it is a typical arranged marriage in China, that the family with the son or the daughter of suitable age would engage a matchmaker who would cast his or her potential candidates and conduct a necessary background checks on their reputations and character, as well as the social status of the men or the women or the son or the daughter, the financial position of their families will be the background checks, all of that for them. For them, they believe that it is the symbols of two people are committed to building a life together, and these commitments tend to create more stable families, communities, and societies. As what I said in my impressionistic approach, not all the arranged marriage or not all commitment of arranged marriage is successful, and not all arranged marriage has a stable families or communities in a societies.